Good day, everyone. I am Ms. Tanya El Castillo, your subject teacher in Creative Nonfiction. Our lesson for this week is all about fiction. The learning objectives are describe the elements of fiction, identify the differences among short story, novel, children's fiction, and flash fiction. Compare and contrast how literary elements are used in different genres. Differentiate fiction text from non-fiction text and analyze and interpret the theme and techniques used in a particular text. So the focus of this lesson is on the differences between fiction and nonfiction and elements of fiction. I have here a storyboard which is a conversation of a mother and a daughter. So a, uh, take time to read this conversation so you could have some ideas about fiction and non-fiction. So let's read. The daughter says, "We're learning the difference between fiction and non-fiction at school." The mother replies, "Great." The daughter says, "For homework, I'm writing a non-fiction story about Bob." Then look at the expression of her mother. The mother replies, "Well, Bob is your imaginary friend, so that would be fiction." Then the daughter says, "No, Bob is real. This is non-fiction." So, see, in this storyboard, in this conversation, makikita nyo agad na there is difference between fiction and non-fiction. But, in the context of the daughter, iba yung kanyang definition sa kanyang imaginary friend na si Bob. And I know you have your ideas about the difference between fiction and non-fiction. But according to Grant 2017, fiction is fabricated and based on the author's imagination, while the non-fiction, it is a factual and reports on true events. So it means napakadali lang niyang i-differentiate. Kapag sinabi nating fiction, the story, yung mga story ay hindi totoo. No? Based siya sa imagination ng writer. While the non-fiction, lahat ng story niya, lahat ng sinasabi sa context, sa libro, ay lahat totoo. So the examples of fiction are short stories, novels, myths, legends, fairy tales. Basta lahat ng story na hindi totoo or hindi siya nangyayari in real life. While fiction, ang mga examples niya ay histories, biographies, journalism, essays. So, lahat yon make sure na nagsasabi or it talks about the true events. No? Unlike in fiction, it is based on author's imagination. How are we going to write a fiction? So, the authors can create worlds in their mind. So, sabi nga natin kanina, di ba, fiction, it is based on imagination of the writer. And make those words come alive on the pages of a book. So, while you are reading story, while you are reading a novel, a fantasy, nai-imagine nyo yung nangyayari doon sa libro. And that is what the authors do. No, they are making or they are writing a world which is not existing in reality. No? Bakit kaya nagsusulat? So sometimes, the authors are free to make up the most interesting stories they can. These fiction stories may be a way for readers to escape their everyday lives and experience a world of excitement, at least momentarily. Kaya minsan kayo din, the readers, bakit kayo nagbabasa ng story? It is because you want to escape the reality. Next, how to write non-fiction. So, in contrast doon sa fiction, authors of nonfiction don't have as much flexibility. It means there is limitation when writing a book because all the details must be true. Lahat dapat totoo. Walang halong kasinungalingan. Okay? They write about a wide variety of subjects like history, biography, politics, science, and many other areas. So, medyo may limitation ng kaunti kasi hindi mo to pwedeng paglaruan yung story niya. Okay? Si H. Thomas Milhorn, he categorized works of fiction based on the number of words. So when we say novel, it has 50,000 words or more, or it is around 170 rather pages. The novella, a work of at least 17,500 words, but under 50,000 words or 60 to 70 pages. Short story, a work of at least 2,000 words but under 7,500 words, or it is 5 to 25 pages. While flash fiction, a work of fewer than 2,000 words. I know you are familiar with flash fiction. So it is around 5 pages. Then, novelette, a work of at least 7,500 words but under 17,500 words, or 25 to 60 pages. I hope that the difference between fiction and non-fiction are clear. Let's proceed to the elements of fiction. So, I know you are familiar with this. The plot, the characters, point of view, setting, conflict, and theme. So, we're going to discuss it one by one. The first one is plot. In plot, this triangle structure, it is called Freytag pyramid. No? So, the plot, it is a structure, how the story arranged from the beginning, middle, and end. So, we have the first one is exposition, which is it tells it introduces the conflict, character, setting. Then, rising action, events before the climax, characters, attempt to solve the problem. Pero minsan, nagfe-fail si character to resolve the conflict. Then, the climax, this is the most exciting part, wherein it is the turning point. Ano nang mangyayari? What would be the big decision of the main character, no, para ma-resolve yung conflict. The following action, it is the action and events that occur after the climax. So, what happened when the main character, no, ano na yung mangyayari nung nagkaroon na siya ng action to solve the conflict. And then resolution, end of the story where the conflicts or problems are solved. Is it happy ending? What happened to the main character? Okay, so that is resolution. Next, we have the types of plot. Linear plot, non-linear plot, and media res, foreshadowing, and flashback. Linear plot, ito yon. The structure of Freytag pyramid. It follows the exposition, rising action, climax, falling action, resolution. So it is a chronological order. While non-linear plot, it is sometimes it doesn't follow the chronological order. And then en media res, it means that the story starts at the middle of the action. Foreshadowing, when we say foreshadowing, it is a hint or a clue in the work that indicates what will happen later. So minsan, di ba, pinapakita ni writer mas pinapakita ni writer sa mga reader kung ano yung mangyayari sa story. Pero hindi pa alam ng character kung ano yung mangyayari na susunod. So, it is a hint for the readers. That is foreshadowing. And then, flashback, it means the story starts from a flashback, no? From a history or from the past events. Okay, next, please read this, no? When my favorite author kills my favorite character. So, sometimes when you are reading or watching a TV series or movie, and then napamahal na kayo din sa character na yun, tapos biglang at the end of the movie or before the end of the movie or the story, wala na, patay na yung favorite character nyo. So, magkakaroon tayo ng masidhing emosyon, no? Doon sa pangyayari sa buhay ng character na yon. But what do you think the author feels when the character dies, no? For example, like this, when I kill one of my reader's favorite characters. So, minsan pinapatay yung character, why? This is to give spices, no, doon sa story. Kasi minsan, unexpected palang ending, unexpected ang story. Yan. So, characters, the ones doing action. Siyempre, alam niyo na yan. Most characters in works of fiction are humans. Next, what's your status? Are you single, taken, or maybe you are in love with a fictional character? Not just in books, but also in movies or films or TV series. I know meron kayo niyan. So, the types of characters. We have protagonist, antagonist, dynamic, static, round, and flat. So, the first one, Harry Potter. I know you are familiar with Harry Potter. So, Harry Potter is a protagonist because a protagonist is a central or main character of the story. The protagonist is the hero or heroine of a story, the character that the reader or audience empathizes with and wants to succeed. So, lagi yung protagonist ang kinakampihan ng mga reader. Next is Lord Voldemort. So, ang gwapo ni Lord Voldemort. Ano po? So, si Lord Voldemort is the force that opposes the central character. So, yung kalaban ni protagonist. Ang tawag natin doon is antagonist. So, Lord Voldemort is the major antagonist. Although there are many others who Harry Potter has to contend with each book. So, marami din naman nakalaban si Harry Potter dun sa buong series na yun, no? Pero, it is si Lord Voldemort yung major antagonist. Next, etong si Neville Longbottom, I know you are familiar with him. No? Anong tawag sa kanya? Dynamic character. Why? A dynamic character is a person who changes over time. It means, sa unang story, the beginning of the story, ganito yung personality niya. And then habang tumatagal, nagbabago yung personality niya. So, anong merong personality siya? Okay? Dynamic traits are made evident by Neville. Si Neville yung kaklase ni Harry Potter. No? By the end, Neville leads an army of students. So, nag-lead siya ng student to fight against Voldemort, the evil character. No? The evil character is Voldemort. So, siya yung tahimik lang nung una. And then, na-develop yung character niya. So, nagbago yung character niya, yung personality niya. So, there are changes sa kanya. Next, Professor McGonagall. It is a type of character na kung saan kabaligtaran, opposite of the dynamic, in which does not change over time. So, kung ano siya nung simula, ganun pa rin siya at the end of the story. And that is what we call static. So, si Professor, yung personality niya ay consistent throughout the series. What about these main characters? Si Harry, Hermione, and Ron. So, it is a major character in a work of fiction who encounters conflict. So, sila yung madalas na nakaka-encounter ng conflict. No? Anong tawag sa kanila? Round characters. The round characters is also known as major character or main character or dynamic character. Why? Kasi these main characters, in order to be believable, they are the one who fight doon sa evil character. So, also Ginny Weasley and Severus Snape are considered round characters in Harry Potter series. Sila naman yung this character develops throughout the story. So, na-develop talaga sila from being a student, no? Yung bata pa sila, then the series, nakita doon na unti-unti silang lumalaki. They grow, no, as a character. Last is si Argus naman. Si Argus is a minor character who is not described fully. Sino ba si Argus? Ano ba yung katayuan niya doon sa story, no? And is often given only one or two traits of the characters. So, si Argus, siya yung caretaker ng Hogwarts School of Witchcraft. So, kasi, ano lang siya eh, ang characteristic lang niya is meron siyang undying obsession, no? Being finding students breaking school rules. So, yun lang yung trabaho niya, hanapin yung mga bata na palagi nagbe-break ng rules. So, those are the types of character. Now, let's proceed to point of view. Point of view, of course, this is how the story being told, no? Paano siya kinuwento? It's either, could be first person, third person, second person. So, in first person, it is using the I, me, my. The third person limited uses he, she, they, and describes the event but cannot reveal more than the main character's thought. Kapag sinabi nating third person limited, the narrator only knows the story of the main character. Hindi na niya sakop yung ibang character. Basta ang alam lang niyang story ay yung main character. While the third person omniscient, kabaligtaran siya ni third person limited na kung saan lahat ng characters, alam ni narrator ang story. Alam niya lahat ng nararamdaman, iniisip ng mga characters. We have also second person point of view. The story uses you. Okay? Remember that the identity addressed as you, yung paggamit ng you, is not necessarily the person reading the narrative. Hindi ibig sabihin na yung nagbabasa yung tinutukoy. Okay? Maybe other character or maybe hindi natin kilala kung sino yung character na yun. Okay, next we have conflict. Conflict is the problem that needs to be resolved. So, ito yung problema na kinakaharap ng mga characters. So, we have different types of story conflict. The first is man versus man or person versus person. This type of conflict arises when two characters are against each other or if there is a disagreement between the two characters. The next, man versus nature. Man against nature is another conflict that arises due to the characters' struggle with a natural force. For example, an earthquake, a storm, or even animals. Man versus self naman, a conflict between the character and himself occurs when the character struggles with his flaws, doubts, desires, emotional challenges, and beliefs. Ibig sabihin, ang kalaban, yung sarili niya mismo. Ang problema, yung sarili niya mismo. Then, man versus society, this type of conflict arises when a character is forced to make choices due to certain social norms. Man versus technology, when the character struggles against man-made machines, which possess artificial intelligence. So, ang kalaban dito, mga machines. Next, man versus God, supernatural, or fate. The man versus fate conflict occurs when a character is made to follow an unknown path. It forces the character to act on his fate and occurs when the character finds himself in a helpless position. In case of conflicts with the supernatural, and the character struggles against monsters. Yun naman yun, yung kalaban. Sa supernatural monsters, aliens, or deities. Conflict with gods was common in ancient, like mythology. Next is setting. Setting, of course, you are familiar with this. It refers to where and when the story happened. So, the social environment must be present in the story. Next, the theme is not the plot of the story, it is the underlying truth. So, we have the plot, the story, and then the theme. So, ito yung underlying truth na kung saan it could be universal, meaning they are understood by readers no matter what culture or country the readers are in. So, So, ito yung talagang kino-convey nung writer or nung author. Common themes include coming of age, circle of life, prejudice, greed, good versus evil, beating the odds, etc. So, I hope you learned from this lesson, and the activity is already uploaded on our course site. Have a nice day, everyone. Thank you for listening.